Live from New York, Spirit Matters. Thank you for being here. Welcome. I'm your host, Al Grunga, with co-host Kishore Chandra. Our tri-host, Achyuta Gopi, is still out this week. It's not been well. Everyone send her some love. We love you, Achyuta, and we miss you. But it's just us. We're what you got. And this is your daily little spiritual check-in where we just kind of, 1 year ago, we decided we're going to get on this podcast every day, just check in and see how we're doing. And we've been doing it. So how are you, Kishore?
I'm good. I was just sharing before the podcast that it's so interesting how sometimes the world is working separately from like where you're at, you know? I woke up in a very chill space this morning, but the rest of the world, in like my immediate circle, there were some messages and fires and people trying to get a hold of me at like 8 a.m. I was just like, I'm chill, man. It's 8 o'clock. So I'm good, but I'm just in an interesting place of like, wow, all these different realities are happening at once.
I'm good. The rest of the world needs to kind of figure it out and stop infiltrating my goodness. So if you all
Exactly.
could stop, if any of you sent messages this morning, please delete them, unsend them, lest you be blocked.
Exactly. Thank you. How are you, DG?
That's the long and short of it. I'm doing well, doing good. It's Friday morning, end of the week, last Friday of the year. Friday after Thursday night kirtan. Thursday night kirtan was really nice. Last evening, I felt there was a great crew that was there. Late night on Thursdays. I left at like 10:30 and the kirtan was still raging.
I told myself that I was gonna stay for one kirtan and then go home. And I stayed there until like I think I left at like 10.
Yeah, I left at 10:30. And so, anyways, we're here. We made it. We're awake. We are present. Yesterday we got into a good conversation. It felt like to me, good conversation. If you didn't listen, go back, check it out. Talking about what were we talking about? It's a great conversation. I really appreciate the point. It was deep, impactful, really shifted the way I went about my day. But what can you remind me? What was it again?
What was it?
Uh
Um, well, we were talking about like this idea of role models. That's kind of where we've been.
Role models,
Yeah,
right.
and like the idea of like I think where we really got into yesterday of like the idea of like just being a good example or just like just that isn't enough in and of itself because one person over here could think they're being a good example, but there's no checks and balances system, and we always kind of have to be looking to our teachers or our mentors, our role models, to like make sure that what we're doing
Mm.
aligned.
And also working on ourselves,
Yes,
you know,
working on ourselves.
working on ourselves and allowing God to work on others.
Yes.
Work on myself, allow God to work on others, and don't play the role of God of thinking that other people need to be working on themselves in a particular way, in a particular timeline, with particular results, because at the end of the day, it affects me. And a lot of the ways that which I worry about how other people are or aren't working on themselves relates to how I need them to change, because I want them to be part of my life in a particular way. I want them to play a supporting role in my life in a particular way. My idea of happiness rests on my husband or wife, our partner, being a certain type of person, or my kids being a certain type of people, or my parents being a certain type of people, or my boss, or my colleagues, or whatever it might be. And so the fact that you're not working on yourself messes with this whole plan I got for my life. And even in spiritual circles, like, you not converting to fill in the gap messes with the whole idea that my superior religion or spiritual path is the way it's supposed to be. And so actually, like, a lot of the times in which we quote unquote air quote, we've been air quoting a lot this week, guys, just FYI, the way we quote unquote which by the way, Kishore, you can just say quote unquote.
That's true. I just realized that.
Kishore's like, I'm doing air quotes, everybody, right now, just in case you're not watching. I'm air quoting, but we actually figured that out a long time ago. It's called quote unquote. Air quote unquote. Um, I totally lost you. What was I saying?
I have no idea.
Oh my God. No,
Something
I was
about
no, yes, my quote unquote care and compassion for other people is actually disguised as my manipulation tool to get you to mold into the supporting role that I want for you in my life.
yeah.
I'm the main character of the story of my life. I've got the roles and scripts all written for all the supporting roles around me, and I need you to like get with the program.
Mm,
And so sometimes our quote unquote compassion for other people is mixed with a tinge of manipulation for you to actually play the role I'm seeking for you to play in life. And that's not like an attack whenever you're all being manipulative out there, you're just nobody's compassionate. It's just it's a way for a reminder for us to find peace by releasing control. And it's actually the greatest expression of love is allowing. The
mm,
greatest expression of love is allowing. Um, you know, allowing somebody to to be themselves and to work on themselves in their own time, their own place, and to love them irrespectively.
mm,
And when we think about that, our sojourn in the material world is Krishna's ultimate allowing of us.
mm,
You know, we think like, why would God allow this, that, or the others? Well, because he's allowing us to be us, um, and is patient at the same time. And
mm,
so for us to practice that, and so we're in this section of the Gita in chapter 3, where it's talking about the difference of attachment and detachment of material and spiritual consciousness, and how it's not always defined by the action itself, but the internal the internal meditation or relationship with the action, my level of attachment, my level of thought of I'm the doer, I'm the controller, this is mine, I'm the success or I'm the failure. And Krishna is saying that we have to put that aside so that we can actually just learn to do the right thing in a given circumstance simply because it's the right thing to do and without attachment. And in that exercising of doing the right thing in the right moment for the right reason, just because it's the right thing to do,
mm,
um, we actually come closer to ourselves and to God, and um, we set an example for others,
mm.
and we, yeah, I think that's good.
That's
That's good.
that's good.
I did my good thing for today.
Um,
That's where we left off. We we
that's,
we ended up reading text 25. We finished text
yeah,
25.
yeah, and I think the next few texts are really interesting, and we can start to get into them. So Krishna says, this is text 26. So, as not to disrupt the minds of ignorant people attached to the fruitive results of prescribed duties, a learned person should not induce them to stop work. Rather, by working in the spirit of devotion, they should engage them in all sorts of activities for the gradual development of Krishna consciousness. I'll read two more. The spirit soul, bewildered by the influence of false ego, thinks himself the doer of activities that are in actuality carried out by the three modes of material nature. One who is in knowledge of the absolute truth, O mighty armed, Arjuna, does not engage himself in the senses and sense gratification, knowing well the differences between work in devotion and work for fruitive results. So
Mm.
in these three verses, something that's like a main a point in this third chapter of Bhagavad Gita, and Krishna has spoken about it in various verses now, is understanding this difference, the Sanskrit of karma and karma yoga, or
Mm.
acting, like I'm just acting for the results. I'm acting for the results. I'm attached to the results, or I'm working in devotion, right? I'm working with this. We were talking about this yesterday as well, or maybe no, this was in my Bhagavatam class. We're working with a higher principle in mind, right? And that higher principle being, I am doing this ultimately for the pleasure of Krishna. And I really like in verse 27, this idea of when we're kind of so enveloped by the false ego, we start to really believe like, I am the doer of everything. I am the controller of everything. You know, I have to make everyone happy. I have to do this. I have to do that. I have to do, etc. And, you know, you hear these phrases in spiritual life of like, you know, Krishna take the wheel, or Jesus take the wheel. Like, let me just let go of those reins of control a little bit, because you get to a point in your life where you realize, and I've had this happen many times on a daily basis sometimes, where it's just like, you know what? I need to just let go of like whatever ounce of like extreme control that I think I have. And I'm going to read some of the purport here, because it's just, I was reading it and it's like, it's so good. It's so fascinating. And then I want to hear what you got to
Which
say.
verse?
This is verse 27, and this is the purport. So just to drive this point of karma and karma yoga home, Srila Prabhupada says, two persons, one in Krishna consciousness and the other in material consciousness, working on the same level, may appear to be working on the same platform, but there is a wide gulf of difference in their respective positions. So I just love how simply he puts that there. Like, two people could be doing the same exact thing. It could look like they're doing the same thing, but as he says, there's a wide gulf of difference. Why? He says the person in material consciousness is convinced by false ego that he is the doer of everything. He does not know that the mechanism of the body is produced by material nature, which works under the supervision of the Supreme Lord. The materialistic person has no knowledge that ultimately he is under the control of Krishna. The person in false ego takes all credit for doing everything independently, and that is the symptom of his nescience. Nice word, which like ignorance. He does not know that this gross and subtle body is the creation of material nature under the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And as such, his bodily and mental activity should be engaged in the service of Krishna in Krishna consciousness. The ignorant person forgets that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is known as Hrishikesha, or the master of the senses of the material body. For due to his long misuse of the senses in sense gratification, he is factually bewildered by the false ego, which makes him forget his eternal relationship with Krishna. So this is such a wonderful point and reminder that, like, you know, and this is strewn through the Bhagavad Gita of like, our ultimate identity is that of a spirit soul. And it is covered by this body, by this ego, by our stories, by all of this stuff that we've accumulated, not only in this life, but in so many past lives. And we become so covered that we start to forget our constitutional relationship with a higher power, that we start to think that everything is happening by my will, right? Everything is me. It's all about me. I'm doing everything. I'm the controller. It's me. And, you know, there's many moments in my life, at least, where I've had moments where I'm like, God, like, I need help, you know, like I can't do this on my own. I've thought that I was in control of everything, but actually this part of me or this situation has gotten the better of me, you know, or I thought I was going according to my plan that I thought was going to work out, and nothing's working out, you know? And so what Srila Prabhupada is saying here is that actually the person, the conditioned soul, is so bewildered and so confused because of this element of the false ego, that we kind of just get lost in this story that like I'm the controller of everything, and we forget our relationship with Krishna. And so then the practices of bhakti are there to remind us of like, actually, wait, there's this eternal relationship that we're a part of, and there's reciprocity in that relationship as well. And there's a place and a space for me to ask for help and to ask for guidance. And it's not just all up to me, you know, because that gets really lonely, actually. And so this forgetfulness, you know, you hear oftentimes where one of the main practices of bhakti, one of the big things is to always remember Krishna and never forget him, because that forgetfulness of Krishna is what dives us deeper into this false ego where I think I'm in charge of everything. I think I'm the doer of everything. I'm the controller of everything. It's a very lonely position, actually. So I think that this purport is one, a very nice reminder of just like, this is the philosophy, the tattva, and it's very hopeful. It's like, wait a minute, you're not all on your own, you know, like Krishna's there and he's kind of just waiting for you to have this relationship with him. Okay, rant is over. That's all the juice that I got. Ooh, can't hear you, DG.
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
I muted my microphone on accident. I was saying, good job. You did it.
that was my rant.
That was your rant. Good job. Yeah, we just rant back and forth. So we putter out of gas and another
I
person
puttered
takes
out of
us.
gas.
It's like a tag team. We're like a tag team in a ring. One person tags the other. I was just thinking, because I've been doing this this positive intelligence we did a while ago, and I've been kind of like which is just, it's a way of it's a way of understanding yourself better, getting into your lower nature, and um understanding your lower and higher natures, and how to bring more of your higher nature into the part that leads and guides you in your daily life. And it's built on this idea that we have these number of, they're called saboteurs, these aspects of ourselves that sabotage us, and that when we're experiencing negative emotions, they're coming from those saboteur places in our life that have taken control or hijacked us in some way when we're experiencing anger or shame or guilt or whatever it may be. And my number one saboteur, everyone has different number ones. My number one is the controller. And I was reading some of the thoughts and characteristics of the controller here, and I was relating them to what you were saying, this idea of being in control. The thoughts of the controller: you're either in control or out of control. If I work hard enough, I can and should control the situation so it goes my way. Others want and need me to take control. You are doing them a favor. No one tells me what to do. Feelings: high anxiety when things are not going my way. Angry and intimidating when others don't follow. Impatient with others' feelings and different styles. Does feel rejected and hurt, although rarely admit to it. Justification lies: without the controller, you can't get much done. You need to push people. If I don't control others, I will be controlled, and I can't live with that. I'm trying to get the job done for all our sakes. And interestingly enough, he says the controller also generates a great deal of anxiety, as many things in work and life are ultimately not controllable. Underneath the bravado of the controller, there is often a hidden fear of being controlled by others or life. Controller is sometimes associated with early life experiences where the child is forced to grow up fast, be on its own, and take charge of its chaotic or dangerous surroundings in order to survive physically and or emotionally. It is also associated with being hurt, rejected, or betrayed, and deciding to never be that vulnerable again. So in relation to what you were saying, this idea of being alone or not being alone, the idea of assuming the role of a controller, I need to get this done. I love this phrase in this verse that you're saying, 327, ahankara vimudatma, defines false ego as ahamkar. I am the doer. Because I'm the only one. If I don't do it, nobody's going to do it. if it's just me, it's all on me. And sometimes I see my controlling tendencies. I convince myself that it's a service. It's a service to others. It's a service to the world. Like I have to take control. And it really is, it's the controlling tendency is sort of inversely related to my level of faith, my level of actually believing that somebody else is in control. How could somebody else be in control? Well, maybe they're not controlling it the way that you would. You know, if life is going differently than the way I think it should, that's actually in some ways a good thing, because why is it that I should be the one that knows exactly how life is supposed to go? Right? Like I have the highest intelligence in all of creation. Like I have the greatest insight into how the world is supposed to work and function. Um, and so I think that what we're hearing here is that there's this sense of the idea of materially being out of control is the greatest fear, because it's a sign of complete chaos. Spiritually, the idea that I'm not in control is the greatest comfort, because it's a sign that actually me trying to take control materially is a way to bring order into life. Me trying to take control spiritually is actually the cause of chaos, because we're all trying to take control and pull things in different directions rather than allow a greater power, God, Krishna. I love how you brought Jesus take the wheel into. I want to see Kishore wearing a t-shirt that says Jesus take the wheel and have a big giant steering wheel on it. And so it's actually the greatest, it's an expression of faith when we are able to like release control, but without that level of faith. And so, it has to come gradually. It has to come gradually for us. I think sometimes we take these, speaking of Jesus, when Jesus was in the desert being tempted by the devil, there was these several temptations, and it was like, throw yourself off this mountain or off this cliff if God will save you. And he said, thou shalt not attempt, some phrasing. I just feel like if I say thou, it must have come from the Bible. Shall not tempt the Lord thy God. Like, don't put yourself in a situation where, God, if you're there, you got to come through for me. And it's like, God didn't come through. I jumped off this plane without a parachute and I died. Like, God obviously doesn't, it's not looking out for me. It's like, well, we don't have to put ourselves in these like situations. Like, it's like, I can predict the future. If I, it jumped off this roof and I broke my leg. Oh, that's your karma. Actually, no, it's a dumb decision, and so it's not that we just have to put ourselves in the situations where it's like, well, God is, why did God do this to me? It's like, well, maybe you're the one that decided to do that, And so it's not that we put God in those situations, but at the same time, there is a sense where I can start to slowly let go of control and ask myself, just ask myself the question, like, how am I inviting God into this moment? How am I, rather than asking the why me, why this, why the, asking like, how could I just theoretically start to look for the hand of God in my life, and not look for God to be the vending machine of my desires, to somehow like, I'm into sports. I like sports. I know you're not into sports. Kishore was leading Kirtan the other day, and he was just like, what's the analogy of like a fumble? Is like pick up the ball, or like, and I was like, I don't know. It's like, I don't know. I might be alone in this, but there's something about just like the all or nothing of it, and just like I feel like the material world is encapsulated in a nutshell. Like the World Cup, like grown men are rolling on the ground crying as if like the life itself is over. Meanwhile, other grown men are jumping in ecstasy, and it's just like the ecstasy and the agony is like all there in a moment. So, anyways. And it's also, what's also interesting is you watch sports, and it's like anytime somebody scores, it's like they throw their hands up to God, like, thank you, God, thank you, God. And it's like, you think like that's God looking out for you? Like, what about the other team that's like, just like, like both teams are like praying, like, God be with us, And it's like, is that the extent of our like prayer? Like, God, please make everything work out for me, as opposed to, God, please help me understand your plan for me, you know? And so it's like, because if both teams are praying for a win, somebody's going to walk out an atheist, you know? And so I think it's like the idea of letting go of that control, letting go of the sense that I am the doer, ahankara vimudhatma, like to be foolish to think that I'm the doer, and aligning myself with that higher plan. Okay, tag, rant over. And this is where we tag Kimberly.
This is where we tag Kimberly. Yeah, Kimberly, what you got for us?
Takeaways.
Takeaways. Thank you. We're taking away that the greatest expression of love is allowing others to work on themselves at their own time and pace. We are not the doers and all on our own. We have Krishna who's guiding us and is waiting for us to remember him. We can let go and let him drive the chariot. And God isn't a vending machine for our desires. We can look for the hand of God in our lives.
I really liked, my takeaway is something you said, Dayal. I really liked when you were speaking about the idea of letting go of control on a material platform, looking or feeling potentially very chaotic. Like it seems kind of chaotic to let go of control on a material platform, but on the spiritual platform, that's actually a giant leap of faith. And it actually takes us closer to Krishna. And I really love that, just the juxtaposition of these two, where seemingly materially it could seem crazy to like let go of the reins of control and accept that I'm not the doer. But on a deeper spiritual platform, it's actually kind of like the price of the ticket to get closer to God. That's my takeaway.
Thank you. Yeah. Question for me is like, what am I trying to control? What am I trying to control? And I find that especially, for us in managerial and leadership positions at our service at the Bhakti Center, it's like so much I'm trying to control. Like if something's not going right, I take it personally. The sound system's not working, I'm a failure. It's like I'm a bad leader, and it's like, because I should be controlling everything and making sure that it's all going well. And so it's just like, what am I trying to control, and what am I telling myself that it says about myself? I'm trying to control this because, if I don't, or if this or that, then it says something about me, which is not the case. And so that's what I'm walking away with. Thank you guys so much. This is our last episode of the year.
Yeah.
We are going to start again on Monday, which will be 2023, which marks a full, complete year of Spirit Matters. We began the first week of January 2022, and we are here. We're here. We have our beautiful, beautiful live Zoom audience that joins us regularly. We have so many of you out there in podcast land. Please, we would love, and maybe what we'll start to do is this upcoming week is share with us your Spirit Matter story. We want to hear your Spirit Matter story, how you found us, what your experience is, why you're here, why you come back and listen, because we have no idea. No, but write to us at spiritmatters@bhakticenter.org, spiritmatters@bhakticenter.org, and tell us your story. We would love to hear from you. And maybe we'll read a few of them on the show, or if you don't want us to, just say, please don't read this, and then we'll definitely read it. No, but we love you guys, and celebrate 1 year together. And we'll see you all again next time, next week, next year. Yeah. Good job. Bye-bye. Be well. Take care. Hare Krishna.